Super excited to be here. This is actually my second time. The first time I came was just to network and see what it was about. So I'm excited to speak and kind of share about what I do. So I do a lot of speaking now, and when I do speak, I love to get energy from the audience. So I'm going to say good morning, and I want you to say great morning. Okay, so you're basically correcting me, okay? Ready? Good morning.
Great morning.
Good morning.
Great morning.
Love it. Awesome. So my name is Abraham Scully. I am a speaker and mental health advocate. Today I want to talk about my business and what I do professionally. It's called Speaks2Inspire, and it's a social platform created to reduce, ultimately eradicate the stigma of mental illness by sharing the stories of millennials who have mental health struggles or have struggled at all with their mental health. So I want you guys I want to bring it back a little bit. Can everyone see the date on the screen? 2011, exactly. So I want you guys to close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes, everyone. I want you to think about what were you doing in the year 2011. Think about some good memories. We got some chuckles already. What were you wearing? Who are you friends with? What did you enjoy doing? Think about 3 words that would describe you in the year 2011. All right, open your eyes. Awesome. I saw some chuckles. I saw some of you guys laughing a little bit. Does anyone care to share what you thought about? What memory came up for you? Yeah.
A new citizen.
A new citizen. Nice. Nice. Yeah.
College student. So I would say wild and sort of.
Yeah. Yeah. College student. Yeah.
English instructor.
English instructor. Awesome. So when I think about the year 2011, there are 3 words that come up for me. Those words are young, dumb, and broke. And I don't just want to share the words with you, but I want to show you what exactly that looks like. Does anyone care to see what young, dumb, and broke looks like? So in 2011, this is me. And during this time of my life, I was actually going through a really dark period of my life. I had no idea what mental health or mental illness was, but I experienced a traumatic time. My parents were together for over 20 years. It was a really big divorce. And during this time, I was trying to figure things out. There was a lot of pent-up tension, anger towards them and for myself. And so because I didn't know how to be open, honest, or transparent, I would suppress these emotions. I would suppress them, and I would act like I'm okay when I really wasn't. I would do different things that I'm not proud to say that I've done, but I don't regret. A couple of those things were I started smoking. Started smoking weed at a really early age. Started drinking a lot. I started hanging around the wrong group of friends. And I did all of this because my current situation made me feel like there was no hope, right? I couldn't get this out, and this was my current reality. So let's fast forward just a little bit. 2014, there's one thing that changed about me. Can anybody tell me what changed? Yeah, I was smart. So no longer dumb. I became young, smart, and broke. And to show you exactly what that looks like, that's me, freshman at the University of West Florida. And you know how I knew I was smart? Can anybody guess by looking at the picture?
Glasses.
The glasses, exactly. Anyone with prescription glasses that look like that is smart. At least that's what I thought. So I was smart. I was young, smart, and broke. And so it was my freshman year. I moved here from Miami, Florida, super excited, super ambitious. And I was smart. I graduated from high school, the first in my family to attend university. And so there was this excitement and ambition in my mind. I knew exactly what I wanted to study. I knew exactly how long it would take me to graduate. And I knew exactly what kind of friends I wanted to network with and what I wanted to do. Things changed after my second semester of college. Now, for the first time in my life, I was experiencing these symptoms that I couldn't really identify with. And it wasn't until I had a phone conversation with a really good friend of mine at the time, and she called me and she was concerned. She said, "Abe, I haven't seen you on campus. Haven't seen you at church. Is everything okay? Of course, I said, yeah, everything is fine. I'm just busy with work, with classes. I didn't really want to be open, honest, and transparent, even with a good friend. But she didn't buy my response. She said, it was actually pretty awkward. She paused for like 30 whole seconds. I was like, is she still on the phone? The next thing I heard was, I'm not getting off of the phone until you tell me what's really going on. And I'm so grateful that she did not buy that answer, and she allowed me to create this space where I can be open, honest, and transparent. And for the first time I opened up, I told her that I hadn't been sleeping at night because I was having these racing thoughts. I told her that I hadn't been eating, so I've been losing weight. I wasn't doing anything that I used to enjoy doing. I'm a CrossFit trainer. I've been doing CrossFit for about 3 years, and I love working out. I hadn't been working out. I hadn't been at social events. My safe haven was locked up in my room with the blinds shut. Would call off of work, call off of classes saying that I was sick. And I opened up. And almost immediately she said, it sounds like you're depressed. I was like, what? Me? Depressed? There's no way I can be depressed. I'm an optimistic guy. I'm motivated. I'm the motivator. I get people hyped up and ready to go. What do you mean I'm depressed? We came off the phone that afternoon, and I didn't really think anything of the conversation until the next 2 weeks. It was a tough 2 weeks after that conversation. I got into a really dark place. And I remember I was so desperate that I was willing to try anything just to feel like myself again. Just to feel like I can get out of bed and actually eat something or work out or do something that I used to enjoy. And I remember the conversation. And in that conversation with my friend, she mentioned that there's a counseling center on campus and you can see a therapist or psychiatrist and they can help you out. And so even though I was fearful, I had never done anything like that before, I got up and I went to see a psychiatrist. I was sitting in front of the psychiatrist, and almost maybe 30, 45 seconds after speaking with her, going back and forth, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, also known as clinical depression. I was prescribed medication for depression. And I also started to see a therapist. And so just to give you some context, my family's Jamaican. I'm from a Jamaican household. So if you have any friends or know anything about those communities, we don't talk about mental health. We don't talk about depression. It's you get up and you do what you got to do. And so I couldn't just open up with my family or anyone close to me because that wasn't a topic of discussion while I was growing up. And so it was difficult. But I got the help that I needed, and I was able to see a psychiatrist. I was able to see a therapist. And I don't know if any of you have ever felt this way, but you find that you make a decision to make an adjustment, and in your mind, this is the perfect scenario for everything to change. That ever happened to you? Like, okay, I'm going to change this, I'm going to do this, and then my situation becomes better. See some nodding. Yep, that was the case for me. I sought the help. I finally broke the ice of being transparent, and I asked for help, and I got the help, but it didn't change. It got so bad to where I had to do a medical withdrawal, and I went back home with no intentions of finishing school. After a 3-month hiatus from school and taking care of my mental health, I made a decision to come back to the University of West Florida and finish where I graduated with my bachelor's in psychology. So I'm super excited about that and super excited about what I do. And I created a platform. So I came back determined to share my story, determined to do mental health advocacy work and share with the community, and also friends and family members that may be struggling and don't know how to seek the help and don't know how to be open, honest, and transparent. And I made it my point of mission, my obligation really to do what I do now. I created a social platform called Speaks2Inspire. Right now we're on all social media platforms, and I collect stories from other millennials who are open to sharing their stories. Some are anonymous, some are open to sharing to the public. They basically share their experience, and that way we're able to put a face to mental illness. We're able to ultimately eradicate the stigma associated with mental illness, which is my goal. So a couple of things, I meant to fast forward. So fast forward a little bit, right? And I'm super excited to say that throughout my experience and growing and developing as a person, I've been able to speak to tons of crowds, different professionals, students, millennials in all arenas. A couple companies that I've worked with, University of Florida, Sanford University, some fraternity, sorority, Sacred Heart, and this is just a couple of things that I've been doing. But in my talks, these are some talking objectives that I do speak on and bring awareness to. So it's about defining what is mental illness, because a lot of people don't know what mental illness is. They don't know the types of mental illnesses that exist. The other thing is to describe who is affected by mental illness. So according to the statistics, 1 in 5 Americans suffer with some sort of diagnosable mental illness at some point of their lives. And if we don't know that fact, then we wouldn't know whether we could be affected or not to get the help that we potentially need. Another thing that I do is I identify how we are affected by stigma. How does stigma control first our society and then on an individual level? Also discuss the barriers to mental health treatment. So there are tons of barriers that exist, and if we can identify them and learn how to break these different barriers, then those who are struggling with their mental health can get the treatment that they need. And then last but not least, we recognize the importance of reducing the stigma associated with mental illness and give some call to actions and some tips and strategies to do so effectively. So this is me. I am on, like I mentioned, all social media platforms. You can connect with me at Abraham Scully if you're on Instagram, Facebook. I also have a website, and it's www.abrahamscully.com. And I also wanted to present you guys, if there was anything that you found fascinating from my talk and me sharing anything about mental health or mental illness, I do have a free worksheet, and it is the 10 tips to improve your mental health. So you can print this out, keep it on your phone screen, and just practice these different tips, because I do believe that there's one thing that we all have in common, and that is mental health. And so if we can look at it on a spectrum, whether 0 being where absolutely struggling to the point of suicidality, or 100 where we're absolutely doing phenomenally well, doing exactly and feeling exactly how we would like to feel, then everyone needs to find ways to improve their mental health. So that's what I have for you today. I'm going to open it up for questions. Thank you so much for your attention and time.
A couple of comments. First of all, you are an outstanding presenter and speaker.
Thank you so much.
You really have the rhythm down. We talked about that on the way over, and you got the right rhythm. The second thing, talk a little bit more, because I was at the University of West Florida for like about 30 years, 35 years, about the counseling center.
Yeah.
Just a couple of comments.
Yeah, so a couple of things about that. So from my experience when I started out as a freshman to when I graduated, I will say that they've improved in terms of bringing awareness to the counseling center. As a freshman, I didn't hear much about their services and that they were free and that they were accessible. But as we've been progressing, I've actually done some work with the counseling center to bring more awareness, especially for the African American community. So I've done an event with them which was centered around African American mental health and just breaking the stigmas so that we all can be exposed to what is mental health. So they do a lot of events now, and they're working with fraternities, sororities, and different organizations to bring more awareness. But the resources are extremely valuable. Yeah. Thank you. Great question. I think I saw you first.
Oh, I'm just fascinated by the juxtaposition of a young and up-and-coming psychologist with the your veteran.
Yeah.
And I
mentorship, right?
A couple sessions with Dr. Keller a
Awesome.
while back, but I'd love to hear if you played your life forward in the next 5 years. Where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself with a practice like his, or even bigger?
So when I first started out with the passion for mental health education, my direction was counseling. but I noticed that that isn't where my passion is. I love working with individuals one-on-one in terms of sharing my story and experience and what I've learned, and also sharing that everyone's journey is different, but I do love the ability to do this kind of setting, and I also do workshops as well, but I like that setting more than I do the one-on-one counseling. For a question. Thank you. And yes.
Can you tell me today, and then let's look out a few years, like Craig said, what's your number one source of revenue, and where would that be, and will it change in the next few years?
So I do believe it is subject to change as I'm growing and learning and networking and developing. But right now, it would be from speaking. So professional speaking, going out doing keynote presentations, conferences, different workshops. I'm also working on different programs to roll out to school districts, and that will be for the juniors, seniors there, to promote mental health awareness, mental health education, and reducing stigma, and how that plays a role in attendance and student achievement and engagement and just graduation rates. Because like I mentioned earlier, I do believe we all have one thing in common, which is mental health, and a lot of the struggles that we go through can play back to how is your mental health, how are you doing, and does this affect the way you engage and how you're achieving in school. So that one is in progress, and like Eric mentioned, I'm also interested in writing a book, so that will be another stream of income for me. Yes.
Thank you. And
Thank
first
you.
of all, I want you to know, in my mind, I'm built exactly like you.
With the guns too? You look just like
That's how I
it.
wake up in the morning.
Almost thought you to me. Thank you for that.
I want to ask you about marketing. How do you market your services?
Yes, so on social media, as technology has been advancing, I've been putting myself out there as much as possible. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, have a website. So I've been using that, and it has been successful because in the sense that I do have people reach out to me for speaking engagements through social media, but I'm always looking for other platforms and different ways to get myself out there. But social media has been the biggest for me right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I did see you in the beginning, and I think I skipped over you, so let's come to you.
Mine was more so related to your story.
Yes.
You left school because you thought everything was supposed to immediately change once you went to the counseling.
Yes.
And you left and went home. So what shifted? What was that shift once you went home?
To come back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mentally and all that made you come back.
Good question. So one thing that happened was when I went home initially, because I was in such a bad position, my family was like, hey, you can stay home. You can just do a community college. But there was something in my mind saying, you got to finish what you started. And I am the second oldest of 7. Yeah, so I have 6 other siblings. And so I also had that feeling of responsibility. One, I'm the first to ever, attend university, and if I can complete this degree, what can that say for my siblings, even my older sibling? So that was in the back of my mind, but also taking time for my mental health was important because the pressures that come with school, and one thing that I didn't mention is as a freshman, I had my own apartment. So that meant I had to pay my own bills. And I didn't move to Pensacola with any family or friends here. It was me by myself. So I was working over 30 hours just to make sure that I can maintain, that I wasn't homeless, that I had food on the table. So there were a lot of stressors. So when I came home, I didn't have to worry about so many stressors. I could focus more on my mental health. I was seeing a therapist at that time as well. So when I got to a position where I was doing a little bit better, I got up and I came back to school. Yeah, thank you. And yes.
So I heard on the radio a couple days ago that there is a millennial push to advocate to remove crazy and insane from our kind of like lexicon.
Yes.
In the same way that years and years ago, retarded
Yeah.
basically became kind of dropped out of the vocabulary as an acceptable word because it was a slight to those with mental or with developmental disabilities.
Mhm.
So I'm curious your opinion on crazy and insane, removing them from the lexicon, and do you think that that would have a potential impact on the way that mental illness is viewed?
Yeah, I do. I do agree, and I believe that it's important to understand how we're using language because it's it's very important. If in my mind I thought that being depressed, struggling with anxiety made me crazy, why the heck would I ever tell anyone? So if I understand that it makes me human, and it makes me, it just means that I'm in a position where I may need assistance or extra help, then I'm more likely to open up about that conversation. And if we look at the statistics, suicide rates are high. And I think one of the biggest reasons is because we're suffering in silence. We're struggling and we're not talking about it because of stigma, because of the negative association to mental illness and even mental health. So if we can change the language and educate ourselves to see it as this is a human problem rather than you're insane, you should be locked up in an asylum, you're going to shoot up this place or that place, then it changes the way we perceive mental health. So, yes.
Okay, if you had your one dream that you had any platform, any place, any conference, whatever, to speak at, what is your one big dream for you to speak at?
Right now, it's packing out the Blue Wahoo Stadium. Yeah, but another goal that I'm working towards is a TED Talk. I haven't decided where exactly, but that's up there too. I'm not even going in order anymore. I'm sorry, guys.
So your talks are about mental health importance. Do you give attendees like a funnel? Here's who you should call. Here's what you should do. Mental health important. Now leave here and you can do this. You can do this because therapist waiting lists are sometimes months out.
Mm-hmm.
So say you encounter someone you really, hey, I need to change. What's the funnels from there?
So one thing that I try to stress is the importance that what I'm doing is just sharing my story and my experience, and everyone has their own journey and experience. So what may have worked for me may not work for someone else, but I also make it my goal that if I'm speaking at maybe a school or a university, I try to have mental health professionals in the room and have them identified. So if there is someone who's in a crisis situation or they need that professional help, they know who to turn to. But that's the biggest thing. It's just, hey, these are the resources that are accessible. If you need professional help, this is what is out there. This is how you access that help. And then there are also self-help resources that are accessible as well. And just making them aware of what is out there. Thank you.
What part of your success is organizational referrals versus the websites? What percentage would you say is an organization saying, hey, this guy did a great job for us, that kind of thing?
Right now, I would say over 80%.
I thought so.
Over 80%.
I thought so.
Yeah. Word of mouth.
No, you have one more question.
Okay. Yes.
Hey there. You mentioned before that you're from a Jamaican family.
Yes.
I used to live in Miami, and in Miami,
Me
if
too.
you were to say, okay, so if you were to say, well, the Latino community, that means nothing. You say Colombians, you say Jamaicans, you say Puerto Ricans, you say Cubans.
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought of having a more diverse but segmented view also? And so you could partner with different groups to talk about mental health.